Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Happy 420! Happy 420, everybody. This is the 420 special, the April 20th special, the weed special. I hope everybody is having a great day. I hope you are eating or smoking or dabbing your edible, smokable cannabis products. For those that don't, I hope you're doing your CBD products if you don't want to get high. But yeah, it's 420, and I'm not very good at kind of remembering holidays and doing special episodes for holidays. But I knew 420 was coming up, and I just happened to check the calendar while I was prepping this week's episodes and noticed, and 420 is pretty much one of the only holidays I care about. I didn't even start smoking weed till I turned 30. I'm currently 40 years old right now, so only a quarter of my life I've spent smoking weed. I had friends, a lot of friends in my 20s and 30s who smoked weed and wanted, begged, pleaded for me to smoke. But I just wasn't into it. I was naive, and I don't know. It was something I almost kind of liked not doing it because it pissed them off that I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would get high. I would definitely be sitting in cars that were being hotboxed. So I did get high, but I didn't start smoking myself till I turned 30. And a lot of it was medical marijuana was legal in California. I was having a ton of back pain and anxiety and things. And the alternative would have been going to a doctor and getting prescribed pills, which everybody at the place I worked at was on some kind of pill to give them either pain relief or mental relief from having to go into that horrible place of work. So I started smoking weed, and it's been a fun journey since then. I mean, from there, moved to Denver, which moving to Denver was a big change. I mean, just starting smoking weed when you're 30 and you're not having to go through dealers, you go to an actual dispensary. It's an amazing thing to walk in a dispensary for the first time, especially now, but even back then when things were a little bit sketchier. It's crazy to go into a brick and mortar store that has hundreds of different products and hundreds of different names. They have specials going on. They have like deals. It was crazy. It's like going from zero to like McDonald's, going from being some undiscovered tribe in a jungle somewhere to all of a sudden walking into a McDonald's and going, oh, this is how I order food. So that was crazy. And then going to Denver is kind of crazy as well. It's very similar in a lot of ways. It was recreationally legal when I went there. And then by the time I came back to California, they were recreationally legal here. But recreational is, I mean, it's kind of a awesome time to be living, especially just in the 10 years since I've been smoking. How many states are now recreationally legal as well as medically legal? It's amazing how many. Still not federally legal, but I think we're getting there. I'm not going to hold my breath that we're going to get there in the next 4 years, even though Biden's president, because it seems like politically the Republicans are still able to stifle progress. But Denver was crazy, and Denver was kind of the introduction to dabs. My roommate in Denver got into dabs. Well, I bought a dab rig when I was there because it was like, it was kind of the new big thing. Dabs were still fairly new. I mean, not new, but they're not. I mean, there wasn't the technology in dabs that there is now. It was still pretty basic, but I couldn't do it, man. Dabs shut me down way too much. I appreciate how I smoke personally now. I roll joints. I fill king size raw cones. I'll get a bunch of weed, like an ounce of weed. I'll grind it all up and I'll stuff cones. And then, just throughout the month or whatever, I just grab a joint and smoke it, and that's I enjoy smoking weed in that way. I can take a hit, I can take a bunch of I can get as high or not as high as I want, and I don't have to worry about cleaning anything. I hated having to clean pipes and clean bongs and like all that resin that people smoke to get high. It's like, why are like you end up when you clean your stuff, you end up throwing that away versus a joint. Yeah, maybe the taste isn't quite as good once you get to the bottom, but it's like you're not wasting any of the weed. You're really you're getting it all. You're getting all that resin in your lungs where it should be, right? Coat your lungs to protect you against coronavirus or whatever. That's not what it happens. That's not a good idea. I'm not a medical professional. Don't listen to me. But yeah, so I do that, and then every once in a while I'll do edibles. And one of my favorite things to do while edibles, I actually did a top 5 things to do high episode a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. So if you want to check out all of my favorite things to do high, which is specifically on edibles, you check that out. But my favorite thing is to watch intense movies while on an edible, and it's one of the most immersive like kind of experiences, especially when movie theaters are open. Going to watch like some crazy stressful movie on a big screen while you're on an edible really makes you feel like you're in the movie. And I enjoy it so much. Um, but yeah, that's kind of I'm not like as far as like smoking weed as being like my identity. At a point I wanted it to be. I thought, I thought like, yeah, I'm going to be a weed guy. And and some people consider me as the guy they know that smokes the most, which I think is ridiculous. But um yeah, I'm pretty. I mean, I smoke every day for the most part. I had to take a pretty big break last year just because life. I was having panic attacks and anxiety, and just taking a hit of weed would just really ramp that up. So I had to take a break. But that's what I've heard. That's the thing that weed does, is that it lets you know when you need to take a break. And I did. I was smoking a lot of weed very regularly. And it was nice to take a break. And it was crazy to take a break and then go back and then feel like what smoking weed used to feel like when, I first started. I remember one of the first times I was smoking Granddaddy Purple, Super Granddaddy Purple, which is a heavy indica, or at least it was at the time. I remember smoking it on a love seat in my bedroom that I could look out and see the living room. I had a roommate at the time, but I was watching TV. I can't even remember what I was watching, and I was eating sunflower seeds, like like in slow motion. My roommate came home and he saw me, and it was just like I was just dead on the love seat, just kind of slowly feeding myself one sunflower seed at a time. I'd take it out of the shell and then put the shell down. And then I was just zoned. I was so dead. And to get that way now is just, it's crazy. Like to feel those effects in that way is just insane. Um, but yeah, it's a crazy thing. I remember right before moving to Denver, I was waiting for my condo in San Diego to sell, and like I literally I think just closed. I went out to go see a movie, and on my way back from seeing a movie, which I got high before seeing the movie, and thankfully I didn't. I was going to smoke a joint on my way home, stop off at the grocery store, get some food to make for dinner. But I got pulled over after on my way home from the store. Still a little high. Not really that high, but I had the half smoked joint in my ashtray in my van, and the cop pulled me over, and luckily nothing happened. But when he handed me my ID after searching my van, and they called back up, and I was sitting on the curb just kind of waiting for him to search my van, which I knew I didn't have anything, so I didn't really care that they would search. I was super nervous when he pulled me over, and then he like took me out and then like put me against the side and patted me down, and he asked me if I had ever been arrested for anything, and I have never been arrested for anything. So in that moment when he asked me that, I instantly became calm. because I knew at least that like I don't have any kind of history of anything, and I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. I wasn't even high still. But when he handed me my ID back after everything, he's like, "Make sure you drive home safe, and just so you know, we could have given you a DUI, which would have been horrible because like literally that day, I think my check had come in the mail, uh, and I was just waiting for that to move to Denver, so that would have really put a wrench in things. But thankfully, nothing happened. Um, knock on wood. It's definitely a white privilege thing to say that nothing happened to me. I didn't even get a ticket. But thankfully, I can take advantage of looking the way I do in a country that doesn't like people with any more melanin in their skin than a white person. But yeah, 420 is one of my favorite. I love to just get high, eat junk food, watch movies. It's kind of the thing I do on most holidays, really. Drinking as well. But yeah, I enjoy 420. I'm not a big stoner. I'm not like the stoner culture, like tie dye and hippie stuff and dreadlocks and all that. I'm not that kind of stoner. Although I do like to meditate and stuff like that. I don't hold anything against people that are the super 420 where like their whole wardrobe, when your whole identity is smoking weed, that's a problem, man. I think that sucks. Like for that to be your personality is that you just smoke weed. It's whatever. And I don't like the kind of broy aspect of like, oh, you gotta like people who treat weed like people who treat drinking like it's some kind of like frat party, some initiation that you have to really smoke a shitload of weed to be accepted in their community. I don't like any of that stuff. Which thankfully weed isn't necessarily always the same as drinking culture, which is nice. But yeah, people that where it's their identity, to be a stoner is it's sad. It's sad that that's their only, and it's probably been their identity since childhood. Usually people that are kind of into that thing started young and just it was the thing that they enjoyed, and it's like they latched onto it harder than anything in life. But anybody that has like they're a fan of something and it becomes their identity. Same with like Star Wars people or comic book people. When that thing that's the only thing that defines who you are is that I'm obsessed with Star Wars or whatever, or Disney. People that are obsessed with Disney in general. It feels very cultish. It feels like somebody where their identity is so singular. It feels very similar to like just uber Christian people, in a lot of ways. But I enjoy weed. I'm glad it's more legal now than ever. And if you want to check out a documentary that helped inspire me to start smoking weed, and I enjoy the producer of the documentary is a buddy of mine. It's called oh my goodness, blanking on the name. It is called The Business of Getting High is the subtitle. Culture High is the sequel. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the title. Just search. Oh my goodness, just search. Let's see. Scorgy. Damn it. Adam Scorgy, producer. I mean, he's done documentaries like Inmate Number One, The Danny Trejo, The Union, The Business of Getting High. It used to be on Netflix a long time ago. I don't know where it is now, but it's a great documentary explaining why weed became criminalized, and just all of the different things behind actually what weed does. And it's a great documentary, and highly recommend you check it out. Happy 420, everybody. Get yourself some cell phone service that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg over at Ting. Go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting, and get yourself $25 in credit that you can apply to a new device or to your service. If you already have a phone that you love, you could bring that phone over. They support all the major networks. They support all the major phones. It's an amazing service that you pay very little for. what you use. They have great plans. So get started now over at Ting by going through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. That's TING, and get yourself $25 in credit today. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!